Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you haven't visited me before, I mostly create videos on fashion and style, a little bit of lifestyle and vlogs thrown in. I know everybody says this, but this video has been super requested for years. I have an old version which I will link down below, but we're going to add to that, make it bigger and better, and I'm going to take you through my top 10 tips to do laundry. And these are all aimed at keeping your clothing looking as new as possible for as long as possible while keeping things really simple. I'm going to show you all of my tips for washing cashmere sweaters and Nouvelle Apparel scarves as well. I'm going to take you through from start to finish how I like to wash mine when I feel like they need a little refresh. I'm also going to show you all of my tips and tricks for taking care of white towels. So we're going to go through pretty much every type of laundry, every type of care, including drying and taking care of them for storage as well. If you have your own tips for laundry, then please leave them in the comments down below because I would love to hear them. I'm always looking for new ways to keep my clothes looking beautiful for a long time because I tend to keep my things for a long time too. I have sweaters that are over 10 years old and some of my mom's clothes as well, and all of it still looks brand new. So I'm really excited to share all of these tips with you, and let's get started. So first of all, I'm going to show you how to hand wash to avoid fry cleaning as much as possible, because dry cleaning not only robs your wallet, but it also tends to really dry out your clothes. So I save it for formal suit wear, blazers, trousers that are dry clean only, that sort of thing. So my very first step, and I do this at the kitchen sink because I do like a larger sink for this if possible, is to spot clean. So on this particular cashmere sweater, you can see I've got some deodorant stains under the arm from using an overly creamy one, and so I just go ahead and apply some baby shampoo directly. I'm using the Burt's Bees baby shampoo. It's no tears and very gentle because it's sulfate free, and that's what you want. Something like Johnson's baby shampoo will be fine too, or of course a specialty cashmere care wash as well will be fine. So first of all, I do all of my brights, then all of my darks, and then anything else left behind, any medium tones, light colors, things like that, I just wash together just to save water. And I'd say I use about a tablespoon of baby shampoo per sweater added to the water. And water-wise, I obviously don't measure it, but I don't use a whole sink of water for it because what you want to do is quickly go ahead and suds them up, and don't rub too hard because that'll create pilling. You'll also have noticed that I turned all of the sweaters inside out, and then once they've been sudsed up, you want to rinse them twice to get all of the suds out, and then squeeze them in order to remove as much water as possible. Now obviously you don't want to stretch out your fabric, so don't squeeze too hard. I tend to roll them up and then unroll them once they've been squeezed of water, and go ahead and pat them dry in order to again remove as much water as possible without stretching out any of your knits. Now for labeling requirements, I have to say dry clean on my Nouvelle Apparel scarves, but you absolutely can hand wash them at home, and here are my secrets on how to do so. It's super easy and it is what I do. So you repeat the steps that I did with the sweater, so suds up and then 2 rinses, wring dry gently, try and get as much water out as possible because you don't want your scarves to stretch out, and then go ahead and pat them dry very thoroughly. And you'll find with this particular textile, which I created, it's 70% cashmere, 30% silk, you'll be able to get it pretty dry. And I drape dry all of my knits, including my Nouvelle Apparel scarves. Now of course, if you don't have a drying rack, just use your furniture where it won't damage anything, or over a door works great too. Final step, steam everything. So you can do this while you're in the shower, of course, but you won't get as great results as if you have a professional steamer. I'll link the one that we have down below if I can find a link for it online. It is a professional style one. And I just go ahead and keep the steam head about a ½ an inch away from the fabric because you don't want to damage the fibers. But nonetheless, steam is extremely gentle, so it's a great way of getting creases out. Now my scarves feature eyelash fringe, and so a quick tip for any garments that have fringe is to quickly brush them out with a boar bristle brush. You want to do this when it's dry, and it'll just fluff them up and separate them just like you would eyelashes. So here's the final result. You can see how crisp and clean it looks. All of the champagne water stains that were in before are all gone, And my emerald scarf is good as new. First world problems, I know, but it really is nice to be able to do that at home. And that scarf has been worn a lot, and I've washed it multiple times, and it's worked out great every time. So I'm just going to quickly show you how to repeat the steps with a sweater. So for sweaters, I really try and focus on the seams, because I find that they tend to wrinkle the most around there and around the neckline as well. And then just run your steamer back and forth about a ½ inch away from the fabric, just repeating the process until all of the creases are gone. Then for my next tip, moving away from actual cleaning of your knits, you want to make sure that you keep them looking beautiful for the long term. And pills are inevitable. This is a sweater from Zara. It is 100% cashmere, but maybe not the finest quality, and so it does pill a lot on me. So what I do is, instead of throwing away my old dull razors, I actually keep them, and I'll put them back on the handle just to have something to grip onto, and go ahead and remove any pills using that. And it really is quite gentle. I find it works better than those old-fashioned machines that electrically shave everything off, because you have a lot more control. Just be a little bit careful around the seams, because those lumps and bumps can cause the razor to dig in. So that's another reason why I prefer to use a blunt razor. You can see how much pills can actually come off of the sides, especially. I find I tend to get mostly pills around the underarm and around the sides of my sweater, especially where a handbag will rub, but the razor trick gets rid of it every time. Next tip, very important if you especially live somewhere where moths are prevalent. I always have lavender sachets in almost every drawer of knitwear. So if you're crafty, you can do little sachets like I did on the left, and if you're not, or you're in a hurry, as I often am, you can just put your lavender, dried of course, in an old stocking and just tie it up and pop it in. For keeping your towels bright and white, this is something I've really worked out over the years, because I have a fondness for white towels, but not a particular knack for keeping them white, and I tend to get a lot of makeup and stains on them somehow. So I do a big load, and I just put all my white towels in there, even the ones that don't really need it. I just periodically do everything at once. I add 2 OxiClean tablets. These really are kind of magic, because I used to do just bleach. I still do a little bit of bleach. I add about a ½ cup into the bleach section on the washing machine, but if you use too much bleach, it'll actually make your towels really stiff, and you'll still retain a bit of that bleach smell. But doing this combination with hot water on an extra large load setting will seriously make them look brand new white and so soft, and I do this every couple of months or whenever I feel like it's needed. Next up, you are going to learn how to ice your creases out, baby. So you are just going to put any kind of delicate silk shirts, anything you don't want to steam, you don't have the time, or you feel like it'll damage the fabric, just put an ice cube and run it on a very, very gentle cycle. You don't need to leave it on for a long time, but it'll really help to pull out any creases. After that, I've got another icy trick for you, because jeans survive the freezer much better than they do repeated harsh washings. So what I do is every other time for jeans that I wear a lot, I will actually freeze them to refresh them instead of washing them. You don't want to leave these in your freezer for days. You want to make sure that the textile is still going to be flexible, because otherwise you risk breaking it. But a couple of hours, about an hour and a half to 2 hours, is the perfect amount. My next tip is when you really need to bring out the big guns and you feel like all of the other tricks are not really cutting it and you need a little extra help, or you're in a hurry or traveling. A little bit of Downy wrinkle release works like magic. It's really a great product. It can be hard to find, but I'll try and find a link for you down below. You just spritz, smooth with your hands, and as it dries, they disappear. Number 10, you don't want to give your workout wear an extra workout, so keep it looking new as long as possible by following the Lululemon routine, which is to turn everything inside out, wash it together with other similar workout smooth type fabrics. So that means no towels and very few other types of knits. I do also wash my bar socks with my workout wear because they're quite delicate under the foot. You don't want to damage those little pads that keep your you from slipping. And then you just do a cold cycle, keep it all together, don't put it in the dryer, dry it flat, and it will look good for many, many years. And finally, it was a full laundry day, so here's a little outtake with BB's first bath time. She decided to roll around in the dirt from the palm tree, so it was time for her very first bath. She was actually so good, and I just wanted to point out that that shampoo is gentle enough to wash your baby or your kitten because it's no tears, and it did leave her fur very fluffy and my cashmere sweaters smelling equally fluffy and fresh. So I got a real kick out of making this highly requested video for you. I hope you found it enjoyable and helpful. Thank you so much for visiting my channel, and I will see you in my next installment on style.